New figures released under Freedom of Information laws have revealed hundreds of racist incidents took place in schools in Coventry over the last few years. In total, 2 incidents occurred every day within these city's schools. That amounted to 444 cases recorded in 2013-2014. The statistics show that for every 1,000 pupils, there were a total of 9 racial occurrences. Well, when RT UK contacted a member of the Coventry City Council, they confirmed the figures, claiming that they were taken from reports from local authority schools and academies, but didn't include free schools. Well, for more on this, I'm joined by James Kingett from the anti-racism educational charity Show Racism the Red Card. James, I'd like to take this away from Coventry if possible, because they're the only council area which has released these statistics. Is this something actually you think is being seen across the country, is reflective of plenty of other schools throughout the country?
Certainly, Bill, we know that those figures are likely to be similar for other local authorities in the up and down the UK, and that's simply because there is a requirement for schools to be recording, monitoring and analysing any incidents that they decide to be either racist or prejudicial in any way.
And what do we mean by incidents?
So the definition of a racist incident would be simply any incident which is perceived to be racist by the intended target or any other person. So it's important to highlight that because a racist incident is recorded doesn't necessarily mean that in fact a racist incident has taken place, and certainly doesn't mean that any punishment is there. And I think the kind of wider public perception of what a racist incident is causes us sometimes to panic when we see figures like this. But actually, we would look at this potentially as a positive thing, that more schools are feeling empowered to recognise, respond to and report incidents in order to show that the school is an inclusive environment for all pupils and that all pupils are valued, but also to look at the impact of any strategies that they might have in place to reduce levels of prejudice in the school.
Is there a possibility of a negative interpretation, though, where perhaps many would say what we're seeing is actually a rise in racism in schools throughout the country?
Absolutely there is, yeah, and that certainly, unfortunately, is the way particularly certain elements of the media like to look at these figures and analyse them. But we know that Ofsted are requiring schools to have these logs, and that schools are using them in a very proactive way. So it might be what could be termed low-level prejudice or racism that's starting up there. And we know when we're working with young people particularly that their attitudes aren't fixed, they're still forming their worldviews, and there's sometimes, although very real to the individuals, their worldviews might not be based entirely on what reality is like. So teachers can use these incidents as a way to engage in positive discussions and really start conversations that help to educate young people about differences between certain groups, about the value of multiculturalism, about the value of sharing ideas and things amongst people.
You mentioned the media. What about political parties? Some are saying they, one or two, could be responsible for generating this element of racism. Is that true, particularly in the build-up to the recent election?
I think sometimes, it's important to be clear about the fact that having a feeling about immigration or concerns about borders and the number of people in the country is not inherently racist in any way, of course not. But certainly we think that some of the ways in which particular media agencies and some of those within all political parties have talked carelessly about the issue of immigration and in certain occasions have used scaremongering or scapegoating tactics to present immigrants as the other, as a threat somehow.
Just briefly, James, it seems that your organisation, Show Racism the Red Card, you seem to be achieving something. People are actually listening to you, and there's clearly a positive response.
I think so. We work with teachers to give them training on how to recognise these incidents in the school and the types of conversations that they can be having with young people to help create a more accurate picture of what the world looks like. And we work with 50,000 to 60,000 young people up and down the country every year. And the feedback we've had from the young people who take part in our activities, but from teachers and local authorities, has been very positive on the whole.
James, great to talk to you. Thanks for your time. James Kingett, campaign worker for Show Racism the Red Card. Again, thank you.